has won since then. The team has changed 6 different coaches since then, but none of them have been able to give Nigeria an African title. We'll talk about what has changed from 2013 to 2023 and what should be the target for the Super Eagles of Nigeria as heading to yet another African tournament later next year. We'll talk about transfers this afternoon. We'll take a look at the latest stories as we build up to the joint transfer market. Ben Chilwell has become a subject of interest from Manchester City. We'll talk about the story. And of course, take a look at the latest stories from Premier League returns later this weekend. Chelsea taking on West Ham tomorrow. It's a lunchtime kickoff game. Of the conversation this afternoon. Welcome to the Football Fans Planet. It's live and exclusive to Planet Radio 101.1 FM. Well, my name is Mariz and I'm excited to be back on the show today. 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565. We'll give you a chance to be a part of the show. Otherwise, you can head to Facebook or streaming live on our Facebook handle, the Planet Radio 101.1 FM Facebook page. Just go there, drop a comment on the live feed, and we'll take them in the course of the show. Otherwise, there's a post published on the sports page, the Planet Radio 101.1 FM sports page. Just go there, drop a comment, and yours truly will take them in the course of the show. Right, so the conversation begins this afternoon from the home scene, particularly the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Well, the coach of the side, Coach Randy Wardrum, says he's optimistic of building a solid team with the array of talent at his disposal ahead of the 2023 Women's World Cup slated for New Zealand and Australia. Recall that the team is currently preparing for the first edition of the Women's Revelation Cup, which features countries such as Mexico, Colombia, and Costa Rica. In an interview with the NFF.com, Wardrum stated that he's delighted working with the likes of Asisa Toshola, Desire Okparanozie, Ifeoma Onumonu, Rashida Tajibadi, Esther Koronko, Ashley Plumty, Rofia Timoran, and a few to mention. What he says, and I quote, the current Super Falcons team is loaded with so many talent. There are a lot of players that have much to offer in the team, and they are reasonably excited and hopeful. Wardrum told the NFF yesterday. I'm confident that we can build something special with this squad. We have also got some bright players, right? Rufia Timoran coming in her 20s. Same with Tosin Demehi to go along with the experienced players like Osinachi Ohale. And of course, Blyden joins the conversation right now. Well, Blyden, Coach Randy Wardrum talking really tough ahead of the World Cup coming up later this year. But the team is preparing for the invitational tournament in, I think it's in Mexico, particularly to feature 4 teams, Nigeria, Mexico, Colombia, and Costa Rica. And the man is saying that he's building something special with the Super Falcon side.
Well, for me, I want to say that thing that is special right from this particular tournament he's attending. That's the way I want to say it, because you look at the teams in this tournament, not the biggest of teams you could think of. And this team set the template. If Nigeria gets to win it and perform quite well, I'll begin to take Coach Waldrum seriously and the team. Because right now, when I look at the antecedents before now, you realize they've not been pretty decent from the Nations Cup and the friendly matches, the top friendly matches they've played. They've played against Canada, they've played against US, they've played against Japan, and they've lost all those matches. I think they pulled a draw in one of those matches. And they even played against some smaller clubs like Jamaica, country like Jamaica, and they were beaten by Jamaica. And it speaks volume about the stakes and the stocks of the side right now. Looking at the World Cup and recent performance, I do not see the Super Falcons doing quite well at the World Cup. But if he prepares very well in this tournament we're looking forward to, it's a tournament where Nigeria can win it, a friendly tournament indeed where Nigeria can win it. I think that could be just a good template to show what they can do moving forward at the World Cup.
Yeah, he was appointed a little over 2-3 years ago. And judging from his performance with the Super Falcons team, have you been impressed with what you've seen with this man, particularly as we look forward to the World Cup?
Well, I wouldn't want to believe that there's any Nigerian that's been impressed with Waldrum. I have not been impressed at all. When the results are not coming, there's nothing to be impressed about. We saw the Nations Cup. They finished 4th in the Nations Cup, couldn't beat Zambia. That speaks volume about the quality of the side in recent times. Look, We know what Nigeria can do, the Super Falcons can do. There are decent talents in that squad. All the coach needs to do is to galvanize the squad, bring a major of the young players and the older players, and get the necessary result just for the team to be compact. Right now, the Super Falcons are not compact. From the middle, they're not compact. The transition from the middle to the attack isn't sharp enough, and that's a problem.
11 games managed so far for the Super Falcons. He's won just 3 games. He's drawn 2, and he's lost a massive 6 in all competitions. Well, you see any chance of an improvement to the national team side? Because a lot of people say, well, the bulk of these games were played with the other legs. Because right now we're seeing a massive inclusion of a lot more younger players into the national team setup. And you think that with this innovation and the system that Wardrum bringing into the Super Falcons team, that there's a chance that this team might get back to top level. Remember that African football is improving. Look at what happened at the WAFCON. We saw Morocco doing particularly very well. We saw South Africa continuing that chase to becoming one of the best teams in Africa. So right now, where do you place Nigeria, the Super Falcons, in the list of top teams in Africa?
Fourth. Just standing the heart of the Nations Cup. Number 1 will always going to be South Africa. Number 2 right now is Morocco. Number 3 is Zambia. And number 4, the Super Falcons. But it can change because you look at the pool of talent we have. I think we've got more talent than the rest of the African country. What's missing is just a coach being able to knit the side. I was happy when you mentioned Pesero, that it was a mistake. Because like Pesero, like Waldron, as far as I'm concerned, no difference in between the two.
Yeah.
The problem of these teams is just a coach for me. The mentality of the side. It's not about just talking tough. I hear Pesero talk tough. Now Waldron is talking tough. It's not enough to talk tough. What matters the most is what you do with a team.
You trust Waldron to take the Super Falcons to the promised land?
Personally, I do not trust him. Watch the side. Look, the indices are there. The friendly matches are played. It speaks volume about the quality of the side. I watched them play at the Nations Cup. No energy. They're trying to pass the ball around, but they can't really pass the ball around. No cohesion in the team. That's the biggest problem for me. And it's not supposed to be like
a lot of people say Blyden, particularly that he's coming and he's done something remarkable with the team. He's brought in young players into the side. And of course, these young players would need some level of time, to blend and gel and integrate into the squad. And maybe just give Pesero some 6 months from now, that when these players gel as much as possible, we'd see, Waldron rather. When these players gel as much as possible, we'd see some progress and improvement in the way they play.
It's not club football. That's the thing. It's not club football. It's easy to say in club football, let's bring in some young players, give them opportunity. Still in club football, there's always going to be that problem because you build from what you have on ground. That's the way it is. You don't build from the blues. You have to build from what's already available. From what we've seen from the Super Falcons, what they're building on. For me, the players coming in are decent players. You have to be able to get results, at least in friendly matches. Let me give him a benefit of doubt. Let me do that. Give him a benefit of doubt. This particular friendlies is going to partake in. When they have a decent result in these friendlies, then I can begin to see what he can do with the Super Falcons. But right now, based on history, based on recent performance, they're not ready for the World Cup.
Well, the Super Falcons to be in action from next week at the Invitational Tournament in Mexico, where they'll take on 3 countries who have also qualified for the World Cup. Mexico, first up on Wednesday, the 15th of February, and then they'll take on Colombia on Saturday, the 18th of February, and the final game will be against Costa Rica on the 22nd of February. And this will be proper tune-up games, proper dress results for what to be expected from the Super Falcons and what they should expect from the World Cup. And of course, so many quarters believe that will judge the quality, will judge the preparations, will judge the readiness of this team from how they perform in this invitational tournament. African title, bringing the nation its 3rd African title. That team was a blend of home-based players and foreign-based players. And despite a shaky group stage that Super Eagles kicked off and powered through to the title, the closest Nigeria have gotten since then in South Africa has been the 3rd place finish when they did that under Coach Gerard Rohr in 2019. The team's most recent outing was when they were eliminated from the round of 16 against Tunisia in the AFCON 2021, having a perfect group stage run, winning 3 out of 3 games. That was under the reign of Coach Augustin Guavon. Well, fast forward to 10 years, Blyden, the national team is having its 6th coach at the helm of affairs, and they are yet to find a solution to getting a trophy. We've seen Sunday Olisi coming, get it raw, Augustine Guavon. Right now, we're talking about Jose Pesero. Now, let's talk about 10 years, putting both timelines side by side. What has changed from 2013 till now, Blyden?
Well, it's typical of the Super Eagles because you look at history. We get to win the Nations Cup every decade. It doesn't make sense from my standpoint. The one in 1980, afterwards, when did they win it next? 1994.
Yeah, 1994.
Afterwards, when? 2013. Massive 10 years after, and it speaks volume. But I think the Super Eagles will get to win the Nations Cup this particular decade. I think they'll do that. Before we get to 2030, the Super Eagles will win the Nations Cup. It's been the story, it's been the outlook. I think the only moment you could have thought about the more opportunities for the Super Eagles winning the Nations Cup was in the 90s, because we had the best of teams in the 90s.
Yeah.
But that political situation, apartheid in South Africa, made it difficult. Nigeria didn't participate in the 1996 Nations Cup. And afterwards, they were suspended from the 1998 Nations Cup. Then 2000, they hosted it. I think Nigeria hosted with who? Nigeria-Ghana it was.
Yeah, Ghana.
Nigeria-Ghana 2000, and they reached the finals. Penalty shootout. Victor Ikpeba putting his hand on the head after kicking the ball. No VAR at the time, but sadly, we've not been able to do quite well at the Nations Cup. But I think in the long run, this particular decade, Nigeria will win the Nations Cup.
We'll talk about that particular 2013 team, but looking at Nigeria over the past 10 years, Blyden, before now, the team used to be one of the top teams in Africa, basically in terms of rankings and quality. But over time, we've lost grip on our status as one of the best teams in Africa. What has changed, and how far off are we from keeping that position as the best team in Africa, football-wise?
I think one of the biggest problems for Nigerian football and the Super Eagles has been the fact that we're not having big players who are homegrown coming into the national team anymore. Before now, it was all about you turn around to the national team, the starting lineup was such quality. And then you look at the players on the bench, such quality. And more players were coming in. You were having big superstars like Obafemi Martins trying to enter the team. Big superstars at the time like Julius Gawa trying to enter the team. And it was quite difficult having the likes of Yakubo Yegbeni on the bench of the national team. And it speak volume about the quality we had yesteryears. Right now, the national team is all about dependence on foreign-based grown players, and it's not been really working out. We're not chunking out these talents every single moment. And one of the problems has been the problem of age-grade football, because that's where we get to discover these talents. Over time, we've not done well moving in age-grade football, and it has a consequence on the national team. The way the national team is right now is where everybody can play. Whichever club you get to play, you just find yourself being drafted to the national team. Right now, we're sporting some young talents all around. Yeah. And we say, oh, can this one play for Nigeria? Can this one play for Nigeria? Can Folarin play for Nigeria? Who else? All the names scattered around. I'm a bit disappointed when the likes of Tammy Abraham shifted to play for England. Who else? Tomari couldn't play for Nigeria. And we're looking forward to Ogbogoma. Stayed too long before joining Nigeria to play. Same old story, same practices. We've not had a Nigerian grown player come out, become superstar, and get to play for Nigeria.
Let's look at the squad. Let's look at the 2013 squad. Blyden Vincent Nyoma, by then, was playing for Maccabi Tel Aviv in Israel. Joseph Yibo was playing for Fenerbahce in Turkey. Ederson Echejile was playing for Braga in Portugal. Nwanko Obiora was playing for Padova in Italy. Of course, Efe Amro was playing for Celtic. Azubike Gwekwe was playing for Warri Wolves. Ahmed Musa back then playing for CSK Moscow. Brownie Day was playing for Olympiacos. Emmanuel Menike was playing for Spartak Moscow. John Obe Mikel and Victor Mosrada all both playing for Chelsea. There was Ruben Gabriel who played for Kano Pillars at that time. There was Fego Gude playing for Valerenga. Godfrey Bobona was playing for Sunshine Stars by then. Ikechuku Uche was playing for Villarreal. Austin Ejiri, the goalkeeper, was playing for Hapoel Beersheba. Ogenyo Naz was playing for Lazio. Etiku Zenyo was playing for Enugu Rangers back then. Sunday Mba was playing for Enugu Rangers back then. The goal scorer in the final of that particular game. Nosai Gable was playing for Real Betis. John Oshaniwa was playing for Ashton. Kenneth Omero back then was playing for Ado Den Haag, and Chigozie Agbin was playing for Enugu Rangers. So it was a proper blend of young stars, of home-based players, and of course the foreign-based players. And then there was really no marquee names. We didn't have to beg players to play for the national team. This was just a crop of players who were ready to play for the national team and ready to give their all. But one thing was paramount: quality and determination. Those two things have been lacking at national team level, Blyden.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially when it's so difficult to draft a player from a home base to have a mainstay with the Super Eagles. I think since the foreign-based coaches came, it's been difficult for home-based players to fit in. On the other hand, we also talk about the quality of the league. But for now, when he had home-based teams go to CAF competition, he saw them, they played quite decently. Gave the North African sides a run for the money. It's no more the story these days. The best Nigerian sides struggle moving away to play in the CAF competitions, and it's been that concern, culminating factors. That's the way I'll look at it. But on the other hand, I think Stephen Keshi had some balls, because it takes a lot.
Some guts.
He had some guts, my brother. It takes a lot for you to gather such teams. I remember Echejele at the time was a professional left fullback, and the coach came and he said, come on, I don't want all the sloppy players who've passed their prime. And that was a story, but that team was built around some decent, hungry foreign-based players. You always talk about Emmanuel Emenike up front, pairing with Brownie Day up front. On the defensive part, Kenneth Omero was good, with Obwabona was good, home base, and Joseph Yobo was on the bench. At that point, he got to a point where he was about to retire, still the captain of the side. But Vincent Enyama was just too decent. It wasn't just about the club these players were playing. It was about the quality they brought. And that was it for me.
Two things, Blyden. First off, you made mention of hunger, particularly.
Yeah.
And of course, most people believe that the hunger we used to see the Super Eagles players come with for the national team has dried up, basically. Most times they come to the national team and play because they want to play. Talk to us about the hunger we used to see in this national team as compared to what we're seeing from the players right now.
For me, I think it's still there. I do not think players will just come to the national team and decide we won't play. Here's what I spot. The difference has been a lot of these foreign coaches came, not the high-class foreign coach you could think of, who have a lot of demand. Average foreign coaches are coming to Nigeria being the coach of a side. For me, that's where the problem is. Like a daisical attitude, they want to play a particular style of game that's not Nigerian. We've talked about it some time ago about culture. They say culture is the way of life of the people. Let's play the Nigerian way. Let's bring grit, physicality, strength. Let the wingers run. Put in a lot of energy. Let's bring skills. Let's bring everything. A mixture of what Nigeria offers as football. Here's what the foreign-based coaches are doing. They're trying to play foreign football in Nigeria, and it's not working out.
Well, of course, we're looking forward to seeing how Coach Jose Peseiro leads the team to an African title. He said a lot when he was appointed coach initially. He said he was going to make Nigeria great again. And recently he's been talking about the fact that he wants to win the African for the team. Last time we won the competition was on this day, 2013. The man Sunday Mbao was different in that game, scored a superb strike for Nigeria against Burkina Faso in the final. And that was how the team went on to win the African 2013. You know the sad story, Blyden, almost all of these players, all of the players have played that particular game, that final, have retired. Some of them are playing in some obscure leagues. You know, Vincent Oyema is retired, Joseph Yobo retired, Nwankofe Ambrose is retired. Only Ahmed Musa looks to be the only active player.
Kenneth
Omero is still playing football here, and Ogenyo Nazi
is still playing
injuries
football.
here and there. Godfrey Bobo, I think he's still playing in faraway Bangladesh, if I'm not mistaken.
Wilderness.
It was something like that. Victor Moses is still playing at Spartak Moscow, by the way.
Yeah.
The big question will be, what has changed from 2013 till now for the national team? We're looking forward to seeing how they perform at the AFCON 2023. Some good news for the fans of Leicester City. Wilfred Ndidi is fit enough to take on Tottenham later tomorrow for Leicester City. Ndidi has been sidelined for the past 2 weeks, sustaining an injury in training. The midfielder has missed the Foxes' last 3 games across all competitions, and he looks to be back. According to Brendan Rodgers, he said, and I quote, he's back in training. Hopefully, he should be fine for the weekend. Ndidi has been struggling to stay fit in recent times for Leicester. He's played 14 Premier League games for Leicester this season, and they're sitting 14th, by the way, with 21 points from 21 matches. Identical stuff for Leicester City. All right, so we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk a lot more. We'll take a look at the stories from the European scene. Chelsea have agreed to extend the contract of Thiago Silva. We'll talk about Lionel Messi and his chances of playing for PSG next week against Bayern Munich. Please stick around. We'll be right back in a jiffy.
The Football Fans Friday is officially here. All the biggest football fans around the globe, all in one tape.
United for life.
I'm Barcelona.
What's represents Arsenal?
I'm Juventus.
I'm Madrid.
I'm Chelsea.
Surely it has to be Manchester City.
AC Milan.
I've been up by United. Jacked for life. Ha ha ha. Yimba. Kind of peanuts. Exclusive and up-to-date football content every Friday 3 to 4 p.m. on Planet's 101.1 FM. Come ready to rep your club.
Nothing unites the world like football. Join the football community here on Planet 101 FM Uyo.
First, I didn't think that I was cutting up to bleed. Then I saw my secrets getting swallowed by the sea. So the time is gone. I saw a diamond fall. Now you can't walk it off. I guess you live alone. With God as my witness, never had it so good. Jumping into love. Why is it to drought? Good started off as nothing, now it's good and it's all on you. With God as my witness, never had it so good. Jumping into love. Why is it to drought? Good started off as nothing, now it's good and it's all on you.
Well, thank you very much for sticking around. Planet Radio 101.1 FM, Football Fans Friday. Arizona here, as well as Blyden, who came the High Chief. We're talking football right now in Europe. Well, Blyden, before we travel to Europe, let's take a stop by the Middle East. Ronaldo scored them 4 times yesterday, including registering his 500th career league goal as Al Nassr beat Al Weda 4-0 in the Saudi Pro League on Thursday. Ronaldo netted all 4 goals within 30 minutes either side of halftime, including a 51st minute penalty in a one-sided away win at the King Abdulaziz Sports City Stadium in Saudi Arabia yesterday. Well, Blyden, anybody else can score 3 goals in Saudi Arabia, but once it's Ronaldo, it makes the headlines, right?
Mariz, anyone else can score 3 goals in Saudi Arabia. Come on, don't say that. He just broken a record.
Yeah, broke the
record. No
record.
one has done it, but
yeah,
there's always going to be peculiarity with Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Look, before now, sometimes I just ask myself why we're talking about Saudi Arabia. It's because Cristiano Ronaldo is there. These days, he just sparkled the league, make a lot of sense. Such a big brand, such a big name, and he never stops scoring. Here's the beauty of it. At some point, everyone said he's finished.
Yeah, we want to talk about that. Had a slow start to life, scored just 1 goal in his first 3 competitive games for Al Nassr, but scored 4 yesterday. Well, maybe this man is not finished as people think.
Yeah, I do not think so. Decent player, one way or the other, no matter how you want to look at it.
Should we talk about the quality of the team they played against?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Not all players get to score 4 goals. The last time we saw a player of this magnitude, Ronaldo, score 4 goals was in 2018. That game against Real Madrid, between Real Madrid and Girona. He did that magic, scoring 4 goals. But here's the thing, Marizona. When he's not scoring goals, everyone says, oh, the league is so difficult. Look at it. He can't even sparkle in Saudi Arabia. Now he's scoring 4 goals. Some other quarters, people try and say, oh, it's so easy. Let's give the man credit. It's not easy. Yes, we understand it's Saudi League. Saudi League cannot be like the English Premier League. Cannot be like the World Cup. But for a while, I thought they said he was finished. He's proven everyone that he's not finished. Scoring 4, and it might just be the beginning of the story. Over 500 career goals.
Yeah.
503 career goals now. That speaks volume about the quality of the man, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Clearly. Well, quality, you could say. He's now scored a hat-trick for 5 different teams in 5 different leagues. No wonder he's called the GOAT by so many people. Brian, who's your GOAT?
It doesn't matter. They're all GOATs for me.
Nice.
Messi, Ronaldo, GOAT. These days, I even include the likes of Neymar because they've done a lot for football.
Neymar's a GOAT for you?
Well, maybe not the same. This category of GOATs.
Oh, there's a category.
Very big GOATs. There are very big GOATs, smaller GOATs. Neymar falls in between the second level. But the main GOATs, the big GOATs, In
So
between the
how
two.
many players fall into the second level for you apart from Neymar?
Hard to say. Hard to say. I just try to keep Neymar there alone.
Just Neymar there.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, with this victory, Arsenal moved back to the top of the league standings after 16 league games, level on 37 points in second place, Al Shabab. Let's talk about another GOAT, Lionel Messi, particularly. PSG's Messi is an injury doubt to face Bayern Munich in the first leg of the Champions League round of 16 tie on Tuesday after suffering a hamstring injury, according to sources. Messi completed the full 90 minutes in PSG's 2-1 loss to Marseille on Wednesday, but he subsequently felt pain in his hamstring and a scan revealed a strain, according to sources. While the injury is not serious, PSG are hopeful he could feature against German champions Bayern Munich at the Parc des Princes. He's unlikely to be at 100%. He is definitely ruled out for Saturday's game against Monaco. Well, Blyden, by the way, Messi scored 15 goals this season for PSG. Well, Kylian Mbappe last week was ruled out of the game against PSG. And now Lionel Messi, a major doubt. They're taking on a no-nonsense side. We're talking Bayern Munich, particularly who understand what it means to play in the UEFA Champions League. How much of a miss would it be if PSG miss out on Messi and Mbappe against Bayern Munich?
Well, I think it would be a huge miss. Number one, first Mbappe, such a decent player, has always worked out for PSG. That's the way I said. So number two, Messi. I love the form he's had, especially after seeing Messi at the World Cup. At some point, didn't look quite sharp, especially last season. But he's adapted to the side. Scored 15 goals in all competition this season. But since he left the World Cup, won the World Cup, I think he's got about 3 goals thereabout in 6 games. But here's the thing. There's been improvement with the side. But sometimes it can be blessing in disguise, which means a lot of other players will turn up to the party. Because you look at it, PSG is such a huge team, tough not to crack. But Bayern is even a tougher nut to crack for me.
Well, that's the story, because you're talking about attacking options for PSG and all of that. But, since the new coach and the new sporting director came in, they've able to narrow the attacking options. They've made it, make the squad quite directional, particularly. They don't have just everybody, to play for. So looking at the attacking options at the absence of Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe, it's actually quite slim. There's Hugo Kitike, there's Neymar, and those are the only 2 big names left in that PSG attacking squad. PSG, according to PSG's website, there are only 4 attackers for PSG, and it's Neymar, Mbappe, Messi, and Kitike. 2 of those 4 are out. Can PSG get a win against Bayern Munich with just 2 attackers?
Well, I can say it's football, because it's like asking me, can PSG get a win against Bayern Munich with the 4 attackers? Sometimes it doesn't work that way. We've seen Paris Saint-Germain, and the question would be, how come they couldn't beat Real Madrid last summer? That's the thing for me. So it's not just about having these players scattered around. Surely they'll miss the likes of Messi and Kylian Mbappe, top level footballers. You're talking about contenders for the world best footballer last year. And that's what we're talking about, such quality. But when I look at it, there's still Neymar, the decent player, though these days he's been quite theatric, but decent player. And you look at the opportunities there for the side. Sometimes when it happens like this, it could be a blessing in disguise. It's just a one-off game. They'll return to the side. That's the way I see it. No big issues, no big problem, but they'll really be missed.
All right, so let's take calls in 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565. Well, I take that again. 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565. Hello, good afternoon, welcome. All right, keep the calls coming in 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565. Who's flashing me exactly? Let's talk to Victor. He's ready to talk to us. Good afternoon, Victor.
Good afternoon, Marizona.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Clarence. I'm sorry. Marizona, let me talk about, because all these days I've been dwelling on the Nigerian players, the home base, and the home and abroad. Let me say that this season we must to go out a way forward and how we can make a standard in our football here in Nigeria. So, all the teams, the under 17, the under 20, the other teams, the likes of the under 20, the selection for the under 20, I want the players to perform well. That's my big thank you, government.
All right. Thank you very much, Victor, for talking to us this afternoon. Good afternoon, football fan. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon.
Yeah,
This is Radio Senator. Very good doing here.
welcome.
I just want to say that this weekend will be a very perfect weekend because my team, Arsenal, will win. And I believe that it is for Arsenal for this season. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome. Hello.
Good afternoon, my friend.
Welcome.
My name is Ryan. Calling from
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't heard from Bright because I've been calling to the show for a couple of some months now.
Yeah. Right is fine.
Okay.
Mm.
I would like to say that the town. Struggling with my team is Eric Taylor should stop starting with us. You know, that guy is just a kind of short one to me. I'm not okay with the guy. It looks to me as short one anytime they start it. Because immediately they stop him, and you see the goal begin coming. So I think they should stop playing that guy to me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Finance Sport.
Welcome. It's a sports show. Add some energy. Thank you very much.
My name is Egben. I'm calling from you.
All right, go ahead.
Please, I want to know, please, can you give me update about my team, Manchester City?
Your city. All right. Pray hard. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mariz. And sorry, do you have sorry? And
Blyden is here.
Okay. This is Augustine Bennett calling from Obak.
All right.
My brother, I'm so happy for my team, Chelsea, extend Thiago Silva contract. You know, having this young man in your defense, I think he's a decent player. He's confident. You know, in short, look at Balotelli. You know, having played with this guy, you can testify that the confidence that this young man have is from Thiago Silva. So I'm so much in love with that, you know, with that extension of Thiago Silva.
Right.
For Cristiano Ronaldo, you know, having scored 2 goals yesterday,
4
I
actually.
think he's a decent player. And so much like it, you know, because there was a lot of criticism surrounding that young man. But having scored 4 goals in one game in Saudi Arabia League, kudos to him. Thank you for having me. Please, my team, they are having match tomorrow. And I believe in that some people that are injured, they will come back and Graham Potter have no excuse. The only thing we want from him is for him to win that game.
All right, Augustine.
Otherwise,
Okay. Thank
tomorrow.
you.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you very much. Well, Blyden, Chelsea have reportedly reached an agreement for Thiago Silva over a new contract that will keep the defender until 2024. The 38-year-old joined Chelsea on a free transfer from PSG. The expiration of his contract at 2020 particularly, and some predicted that Silva would struggle in Premier League. But given he was seemingly nearing the end of his career and past his prime, but he has surpassed expectations to Stamford Bridge and has proven to be a brilliant signing for Chelsea since joining. Well, despite Chelsea struggling, you just cannot fault Thiago Silva because he comes in and puts in top performances for Chelsea. Well, Blyden, 3 years down the line, he came in as a 36-year-old. And there was so much talk about if he's going to sparkle. He's 36, he's too old for the Premier League, but he's coming and he's becoming mainstay. Talk to us about how key this man has been for Chelsea. He's joining from PSG.
That's what you get when you have a decent footballer. He's a footballer first before being a defender. Many defenders are just defenders. They mark, they defend, but this guy can play football. Thiago Silva, the best defender I've seen in many years. I think probably the one that's closest to him would be the Liverpool defender. What's the name now?
Virgil
van Dijk. In terms of the ability to arrange the defense, quite defense. That decent player.
Let's talk about something, Blyden. He's 38. He's not going to play football forever, right? And then Chelsea, by the way, broke their laws, their rules, particularly for this man because
rules are meant to
definitely. We're going there. You know, before now, Chelsea would not hand, you know, a man over 30 a contract more than 2-3 years, particularly we know the story with Willian, with Frank Lampard, with what's his name, Gary Cahill, and the rest of them. Chelsea had to stick with those rules, but when it came to Thiago, they had to bend or break. But he's not going to play football forever. Talk to us about Chelsea's succession plan for Thiago Silva, and if there's anybody at that Chelsea squad that would be able to fill into the shoes of Thiago if he decides to leave tomorrow.
Well, I love what Bernard is doing, but there's a difference where he's playing right now. Thiago is playing the central position. He's just adding, and disappointingly, he wasn't added to the Champions League squad. That's why I was quite disappointed with it, because he's been pretty decent with the side. But on the other hand, Chelsea are in a spending spree right now. So you know that...
Benoit Badiashile.
Yeah, Bernard.
Yeah.
You know that they're going to spend a lot of money moving forward. That's the way I said. But right now, I cannot see a replacement for Thiago Silva in Chelsea yet. Maybe he's got a year or two to still play at Chelsea. Maybe he'll play to 40 at top level. But such decent defender I'm talking about, I can't even talk much
What happens to Chelsea after Thiago Silva, Blyden?
They'll buy a player. It's normal. Come on.
They've always been signing.
Of course they'll make signing. That's football for you.
Yeah.
They'll make signings. You can only have a young star on the study Thiago for now. Because you can't bring a superstar to sit on the bench for Thiago. It won't work out. So it's usually going to get to that point when Thiago gets to retire. You bring in one or two players, the defenders scattered all around the world. You bring in one or two players to play in that position. But Thiago Silva, such decent footballer.
If longevity was a person, it's Thiago Silva. 09022231011 and 0817-624-8565. Let's talk to Top Gunner before we head to Facebook. Good afternoon, Top Gunner.
Mari and the High Chief, good afternoon, and others. Mari, I'm glad on what happened to referee Farouk Abdullah for his suspension. Imagine it is allowing a vital goal by Niger Tornadoes against River United. Mari, let that be zero tolerance in Nigerian League. IMC, kudos to you people for a job well done. Any effort to support the IMC to sanitize the league. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Top Gunner. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mariz.
Welcome. Name and location.
It's Mariz away from about.
All right.
Yeah, it's not a new stuff for us at this time. Thiago Silva is still a young guy for us, so having a new contract for him is still a big rush for him to just push it for Chelsea. And Mariz, do you know what?
Talk to me.
I would love to see the show in the Super Eagles team. Osimhen, Ademola Lookman on the right flank, and Noni Madueke. It will be a very light trade for the Super Eagles this time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Miles. It's the accentuation for me. Well, let's head to Facebook, the live feed, and take some comments there before we come back to talk about the Premier League games expected later this weekend. On Facebook, good afternoon, Sports Crew. This is Desmond Odionyi. He says he wants to be Chelsea to win tomorrow. Gavi flashes up City, and he comes back to say Pep Guardiola announced he wants to stay at City. And he says he's going to stay at City despite all of the talk of him leaving. Well, thank you very much. Oh, Blyden, let's travel to Premier League and take a look at the games expected later tomorrow. Chelsea taking West Ham United. It's been a case of a tough city every time for Chelsea in the last couple of games. But we'll look at team news right now, or particularly what to be expected from Chelsea. But look at Chelsea so far, so good, Blyden, and they're still not consistent. They're still not convincing despite signing loads of players into the team. Played a goalless draw against Fulham. And of course, we talked about the quality of the side, but it wasn't shown against West Ham. What kind of game should we expect from Chelsea against this West Ham United team who are struggling to the 17th with 19 points from 21 games?
Well, let me start by saying probably if Felix returns, then it would be good for them moving forward. But right now, looking at the Chelsea side, I see they don't look like a team that can beat any team in the Premier League right now. Look, they're sloppy. Number one, Chelsea doesn't have a defensive midfielder. That's the first concern. Since Jorginho left the side, they've just been managing with Enzo Fernandez.
It's Blyden, there's a conversation. Thank God that we're coming here. Now, Enzo Fernandez, there's when you talk about the proper position for him and the kind of player he is. Is he a defensive midfielder or a central midfielder for Chelsea?
Just Google. You see he's a central midfielder.
But
no two ways about it.
Yeah, but he's playing as a defensive midfielder for Chelsea.
Yeah,
and then there's been talk about how to give this man technical freedom to be able to express himself
for
as
many,
a player.
Many people also think that he played defensive midfield at the World Cup. But here's the thing for me. when he had Mark Alister, he had
Rodrigo Di Pau.
the Paul being part of that system. These guys were butchers in the midfield. They're fighting for all the ball. All Enzo needed to do was just be part of that mix. And guess what? He's got technical footwork. Look at the goals he scored in the World Cup. The goal he scored against Mexico. Even at Chelsea, you see the way he kicks the ball. It makes a lot of sense. You understand? This is not a defensive midfielder at all. And for me, that's where the problem. Look at the last game Chelsea played. He was struggling, the game against Fulham. He was struggling to pick up the balls from a defensive point of view, trying to get in between. It was quite difficult for him from that midfield. And moving forward, you realize that's a big concern for a Chelsea point of view.
Now, how much of a concern is that going to be going forward? Because, that's likely going to be the position he's going to play for Chelsea, defensive midfield, for as long as possible. So if that's not his natural position, how much of a concern would that be for that Chelsea midfield combination?
Huge concern, because here's the thing about football. It's not about having bright talents moving forward for you. You're also going to have your opponent attack you. That defensive structure, who absorbs the pressure? Can Enzo Fernandez absorb this pressure? That's a question I'm going to ask many Chelsea fans and Chelsea structure. But in the long run, I tell you one thing, Mariz, I tell you one thing, it's going to be difficult for Chelsea moving forward. Another index or problem would be the coach of Chelsea, Graham Potter. Here's the problem. Who starts for him? Because I think the coach is in a debacle right now. Look at all the players scattered around. You have Modric, and on the other hand, you have this young lads, the likes of Noni Madueke, who sparkled in the last game. You need to have a steady startup for you. But I love the competition in Chelsea right now, because it could be so difficult. And the competitiveness that comes with this team, players would want to play, make a name for themselves, probably have a starting bet, but it's going to be difficult when the coach doesn't know what to do, who to pick at a time. We might see a lot of rotation in Chelsea.
Let's look at team news, particularly talk about rotations. West Ham United defender Thilo Kehrer is a major doubt to face Chelsea because of a hamstring strain. Danny Ings may again be a substitute after he is back from a knee problem for Chelsea. Thankfully, Joe Felix is back for them after completing a 3-match ban. Raheem Sterling could miss out to the knee problem, and none of Mateo Kovacic, Wesley Fofana, and Dennis Zakaria will be involved in this particular game. Blinding Chelsea are yet to win an away game since October. And here is Graham Potter talking about Chelsea's struggles away from home since last year. Oh, Graham, talk to us already. Are you shy? I think Graham Potter is shy. He doesn't want to talk to us. The man clearly is shy.
Never gonna let you go, never gonna say goodbye, no. Never gonna give you up.
I think Graham Potter is ready to talk to us right now. Well, maybe the man has been going through a lot, and saying things is quite a thing for him. Well, Graham Potter, tell us, Chelsea have not won a game since October last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a statistic that we like, that's for sure. And for different reasons. I mean, going away from home in the Premier League is not straightforward. Everybody knows that. And the problems that we've been having in terms of injuries, etc. But yeah, it's something that we're trying to address. We have to start against West Ham, of course. I've been there with Brighton and had a decent record there, but it's a totally different context, a different situation. We need to. It's a London derby. No love lost, I don't think, between the two teams in terms of how the atmosphere will be, which is great. Which is it's a good atmosphere for us to test ourselves in and then try to get the 3 points.
Well, Blading, Chelsea have gone 7 successive away games without the winning all competitions for the first time in 12 years. They haven't fared worse since a winless streak of 17 matches from April 2000 to January 2021. They take on a struggling West Ham United. But first of all, talk to us about Chelsea. And despite all of the money pumped into the team, there is no, results, particularly to reflect how much pumped into Chelsea.
Well, let me talk about Chelsea's structure in the team right now. Here's the thing. The biggest problem with Chelsea is the man manning their face. That's it for me. When you see the man clap on the sideline, I've always talk about it. The big problem is why are you clapping? Players are missing chances and you're clapping. In Chelsea, you get upset. You try to get the result, bring the mentality. The biggest problem for Chelsea is that mentality, and Graham Potter doesn't have it. For me, he's the biggest problem in Chelsea. Imagine this Chelsea given